Alistair Ignitus was the very essence of chaotic neutral. He was my first character, and when I played him, I made it my goal to derail anything I possibly could. Whether it was the plot, dialogue, or a combat sequence, I considered the day successful if Alistair did something no one expected. The stories of Alistair's absurd legacy were many, but there was always something more going on in his head than he let on. Alistair found himself in a tavern in Einsberg, the capital city of Relia, nation of man, as it came under attack. He couldn't remember where he came from, or what he was. The only thing he knew was the voice inside his head, the devil, Valenfar. Valenfar tempted him with power, telling Alistair to kill the friends he was traveling with, and he would give him strength. Alistair was a tiefling sorcerer of pestilence. He had a fondness for small creatures like rats and salamanders. Among the magical beings he found on his journey were a bat that could help him cross gaps, a newt that could put people to sleep, and a snake that fought alongside him in combat. On one quest, Alistair and his party made their way into a crypt in search of a necromancer that had been causing trouble. He looted a secret room and found a sword that could send beams of energy when it was swung. Since the damage was based on charisma, it made sense for the sorcerer to wield it. When the team finally reached the necromancer, Delton, a fight broke out. While the rest of the party took on several undead minions, Alistair walked calmly towards Delton, slashing at him with the blade beams. He took his time, walking forward and slashing, a murderous intent in his eyes. As the necromancer minions fell, and the rest of the party turned their attention to the master, Alistair finally reached him, and he pulled out the newt to put the boss to sleep. This was the exact type of hilarious nonsense that Alistair was prone to. While in the city of Sultani, Alistair found himself with a bit of free time. Now, giving Alistair free time and a city to explore was a dangerous thing. Alistair approached one of his friends, a monk named Drawgan, who had an unusually strong desire for treasure, even to the point of stealing things. Drawgan agreed to help Alistair sneak into the king's castle and steal his valuables. Alistair, however, was not interested in the money. He took a quick trip into the sewers, where he found some sort of lizard creature and shoved it into his bag of holding, intent on releasing it into the king's bedchambers. His plan never panned out. The king's guard kept too tight of a watch on the castle. While in the city, Alistair met a mysterious holy man, who threatened to kill him based on his devilish horns and tail. Instead, however, Alistair convinced him to help remove the monster from his mind. The holy man told him of his master in Lundara that would be of some help. Alistair also ran into another tiefling claiming to know him, Valina. Before leaving the city, the team took on a mission to clean out a church that had been taken over by a demigorgon. The team killed it, but in the process discovered a nest of them beneath the altar. Rather than fight them, Alistair simply stepped into the room and released the lizard from his bag. It had matured quickly into a fully grown crocodragon. Long story short, this led to the destruction of the entire city. But Alistair and his friends were long gone with their payment. On one occasion, while traveling through woods that were known to be inhabited by nymphs, Alistair split from the party and found himself in the company of one. He attempted to seduce her, and natural 20. He eventually returned to the party, but was quite a mess, and despite his chaotic nature, was weirdly faithful to her. Alistair's arc came to a close in the city of Lundara, where he met the man he'd been informed of, and finally faced off against Valenfar, the demon that had been seeking to control him. In the end, Valenfar admitted that the entire conflict had been a test. Valenfar was not just a demon in his head, but his father, the rightful king of hell, who had been usurped by a creature known as Crowentas, and Valina was working for him. The holy man arrived and revealed that he had tricked the party, distracting them so that Valina could take over the city. The group stepped outside to find the sky dark and the moon red like blood. In the battle to protect the city, Alistair turned some of the devils to his side and slew Valina himself, claiming his rightful place as King of Hell. Once all was said and done, Alistair married the nymph he'd met and took his throne. He had a son, Pirin Saito Ignitus, who would be the one to carry on Alistair's absurd legacy. As he grew older, the responsibilities of ruling mellowed him out a little bit, but he was still never what you would expect. That's all for today. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe and ring the bell to be notified. All comments and criticism are appreciated, and I've got pretty thick skin, so if you don't like this video, go ahead and tell me. But be sure to share this video with your friends so they can tell me too.